Comedy movies have basically gone extinct from movie theaters this decade, so what better way to bring the genre back to the big screen than with the Wayans Brothers and the Scary Movie reboot? And this movie really showed that the person responsible for why the original was so great is not the one who gets credit for it. It was really great to see the band get back together. All throughout the press tour, you could see how special their bond is. It's how many of them got their big break, Anna especially. I didn't realize this, but the first Scary Movie was her first audition ever.
My first audition in LA.
What?
Yeah. Keenan asked me to fly down and audition in front of him. I spent a week auditioning, broke, really terrified. I'd never done comedy. Friday I booked the role, and I was flying first class for the first time in my life.
This series obviously means the world to her, and you could see just how serious she took this movie. The legacy characters were by far the best part of this movie. Particularly Dave Sherridan, who plays Doofy, and Shawn Wayans, who plays Ray. I actually think Doofy was funnier in this movie than the original Scary Movie. Dave's got serious comedic chops, and he has not lost a step at all. Shawn does Ray great as well, and almost every joke that landed for me was because of these two guys. Which is pretty insane, because I went through Shawn's filmography, and this is his first role in a decade. And he hasn't been a consistent actor in nearly 2 decades. Major props to him for pulling it off again.
We're here to drink, play bad music, do some half-gay shit.
Why just half gay?
The movie had a pretty solid second act, and overall, I was never really bored watching this movie, so I guess that's at least not a negative. The movie overall, with the exception of Doofy and Ray, just wasn't very funny. I was genuinely curious going into the movie how many times I would actually laugh, so I actually brought an index card and a pen to the movie to take note of how many times I actually laughed. And about 30 minutes in, I hadn't laughed one time, and I also hadn't even smiled one time, and I was getting really nervous. So I added a line under the laughs tally for how many times I smiled. Thankfully, in the second act, things really picked up, and I definitely added tallies in both sections. So yeah, in case you can't read that, that is a total of 3 laughs and 15 smiles for the duration of the movie. If you say there's a joke a minute on average, then about 18% of them landed in some form or fashion for me. The problem is that the 82% that didn't, really didn't. This wasn't even in the same universe with the level of humor that the first 2 Scary Movies were, or honestly the ones after those as well. I really wanted to piece together what went wrong with this movie, and there are 2 major things that stand out. They both stem from Keenan Wayans not directing this movie. I have no idea why they didn't bring him back as the director, because by the end of the movie, it was painfully obvious that he was the biggest reason why the first 2 were so legendary. When you listen to them talk 26 years ago, he really put the writers to work with constant rewrites to make sure the movie was as funny as it could be.
Okay, this is the one. You guys go write this. And they went off with a couple of their buddies and they wrote it. Brought it to me, I gave him notes on it, and we went back and forth about 10 drafts.
Like 20 drafts.
Yeah. And even after the studio greenlit it, I said, okay, let's go back to it.
But then, this just clearly didn't happen with this movie. It truthfully felt like a first draft, at least with the dialogue. I was sitting there thinking, would this be funnier with S-tier comedic talent delivering these lines? And maybe, but at the same time, I don't even think the greatest actors would have made this movie hilarious. I challenge you to watch Scary Movie, Scary Movie 2, and Scary Movie 6 back to back to back, and I guarantee you'll notice how lazy and uninspired the dialogue feels in this one compared to the classics. Marlon talked on the press tour about how funny his family is.
We did it with, white chicks, with, Scary Movie. We're a brand that knows how to make the world laugh.
Comedy is about making people laugh. You can't fake it. You can't think about it. You just do this thing that God gave you this instinct to do.
You could watch a Wayans Brothers something, and you still gonna laugh like it's your first time seeing it, because we don't do jokes, we do classics.
And I really worry that they went in with a little too much confidence and just assumed their first crack at everything would be hilarious, and they didn't have Keenan or a Keenan-like person overseeing the project to make sure they punched everything up to a 10. And yes, I know Keenan co-wrote this movie, but there's a huge difference between being the guy and being another chef in the kitchen. But the other way in which this movie really missed Keenan was just with the overall direction on set. Just listen to how the cast of Scary Movie 2 talks about him.
Knows what's useful and what's not, what's a waste.
He's like, where's the joke?
film that.
He kept saying that there's no vanity in comedy. So he just really helped sort of help me work through those barriers.
The great thing about Keenan is that the directing is more like, hey, maybe it's funny if you do this.
You just didn't have that kind of magic at all with this movie. In fact, the 3 times that I did laugh were either visual gags that didn't need direction at all, or they were just recycled jokes from the first 2 Scary movies that Keenan directed. The performances, especially from the new cast members, were really missing a serious comedic punch, and it could be that they just didn't cast actors who were specially trained in comedy. I mean, it's by far the hardest thing to do in acting, but I'm not completely sold, because for me, there was a real step down from Anna, Regina, and Marlon when I've seen them be funny in the past. I just have a really strong feeling that if Keenan had directed this movie, even with the script that they had, it would have been significantly funnier. It just felt like everyone was so uptight and just trying way too hard. Look at these snippets of Scary Movie 2.
There's something going on in this house, Professor. I'm not crazy! Ah!
Woo, that's heavy. I better use my strong hand.
Oh,
Clumsy. Look, you got the panties. Gonna need that for later. Okay, here we go. Follow me, child. Watch my body.
Do you notice how loose and free the scenes feel? And how there aren't any moments of anyone being, look at me, aren't I funny? But it constantly felt like that was what was going on in this movie. Since I took a shot at Judd Apatow in this film, I'll let him explain what was going on with the performances in this.
You can tell an actor thinks they're being funny, it instantly is awful. Like if there's any self-awareness of like, this is really working. And so the cockiness of doing improv well, even if the jokes are good, like takes you out of the scene. It only really works if people are so deep in character that when you're in editing, it could seem seamless, almost like a documentary. Like when it works, it's like, oh, this was like a documentary of peeking in on people. And when it doesn't work, it looks like someone thinks they're hilarious.
Aside from all of this, they really didn't deliver on their marketing promise at all. They tease this as, no one is safe, all lines will be crossed. And I walked out of this thinking, what lines did they cross again? Now, I'll be fair, most people wouldn't do the pronouns or gay joke in the trailer in modern times. I'll give them that, and I'm sure this movie would make the average Redditor's brain explode. But at the same time, I'm a Chappelle guy, and I watch comedies from the 2000s and earlier all the time. This movie was incredibly tame compared to those. I guess at the very least, this movie does prove that you won't be canceled for telling jokes on, quote, sensitive subjects anymore. I didn't hate the movie though, and especially given they at least made an attempt at a 2000 style comedy, I highly recommend you check it out for yourself in theaters. I'm just one guy, and supporting it will no doubt help signal to Hollywood that we want comedies in theaters again. With that being said, this is personally the weakest of the 6 movies for me, and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. But the nostalgia of Scary Movie might have you wondering what happened to so many of the comedy acting icons of this era, and you may be surprised to learn that one of the stars of the original Scary Movie has actually since become an OnlyFans millionaire. Her story's far from the craziest though, and I break it all down here.